Hey there, good morning. It is 7 a.m. Welcome to the Morning Watch. Give some time for folks to come in this morning and we'll get rolling. Morning, Robin. So excited about today. Today is Tuesday, March the 3rd. March the 3rd, 2021. And so today we're going to be in Matthew chapter 10. And so before we pray, today's chapter is focused around Jesus having an extended conversation with his disciples. He is sending them out to do a work, to do a job. And you and I are listening in on this conversation between Jesus and his disciples. And we can learn from what he told them in terms of an evangelism strategy. How do we, as believers, carrying the Holy Spirit within us, called to make disciples, called to live peculiar and holy and set apart lives? How do we do this? How does this work? And so Jesus gives his disciples a blueprint for how that should go. All right? So let's pray together. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the fact that it's drying out. Lord, thank you for what we've already seen in these flood ravaged areas, people coming forth to love and to serve and to help, Lord. And that's your model, is to love and meet the needs of people. So, Lord, we want to give this time to you this morning as we study your word. We pray, Lord, that you would make it come alive to our minds and our spirits today. Let us carry it with us today and just meditate on it all day long. Lord, we love you, and we ask all this in the name of Christ. Amen. All right, Lorene and Terry, Wilma, Kim, Glenna, Peggy, Rosemary, Connie. Good morning, everybody. I love you all. Good to see you. All right, let's read Matthew chapter 10 together. So Jesus called his 12 disciples together and gave them authority to cast out evil spirits and to heal every kind of disease and illness. Here are the names of the 12 apostles. First Simon, also called Peter, then Andrew, Peter's brother, James, son of Zebedee, John, James's brother, Philip, Bartholomew, Thomas, Matthew, the tax collector, who is writing this book, by the way, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, Judas Iscariot, who later betrayed him. Jesus sent out the 12 apostles with these instructions. Okay, so here we go. So here we have a list of the disciples, and now we're going to have Jesus giving them instructions on how to do the work that he'd called them to do. Here we go. He says, "Don't go to the Gentiles or the Samaritans, but only to the people of Israel, God's lost sheep. Go and announce to them that the kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cure those with leprosy, cast out demons." Listen to this. "Give as freely as you have received." Wow, what a lesson already in this chapter. Give as freely as you have received. And I have to ask myself the question, do I do that? Do I give of myself as freely and openly and willingly as I have received so many blessings that I cannot even fathom? Jesus says, don't go to the Gentiles or Samaritans first. Go to the children of Israel, God's chosen people. Remember, God told Abraham way back when, "I'm going to bless your descendants." So Jesus is saying your first priority is to go to the Jews. They are my chosen people. Now, you and I, as Gentiles, we're not left out of the mix. But he says go to them first. He says, listen to this, "Don't take any money in your money belts, no gold, silver, or even copper coins. Don't carry a traveler's bag with a change of clothes and sandals, or even a walking stick. Don't hesitate to accept hospitality, because those who work deserve to be fed." So he's telling them, travel lightly. You need to be able to be nimble and move and go from place to place. Accept hospitality. If people are willing to love you and take care of you and invest in you, let them do that. Verse 11. Whenever you enter a city or village, listen to this, search for a worthy person and stay in his home until you leave town. When you enter the home, give it your blessing. If it turns out to be a worthy home, let your blessing stand. If it is not, take back the blessing. If any household or town refuses to welcome you or listen to your message, shake its dust from your feet as you leave. I tell you the truth, the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah will be better off than such a town on the judgment day. So what's Jesus saying here? He's not saying that we should look at somebody and say, oh, I don't think they're worthy of the gospel. That's not what he's saying. Because everybody is worthy to hear the gospel and to receive the gospel. But what do we know? Will everyone be open to it? No, they won't, for a variety of reasons. But he says when you go into a home, look for what he calls a worthy person. A worthy person. That is someone who is willing to listen. Okay? Someone who is willing to entertain listening to the message of the cross. And guess what? You and I don't know who that is until we open ourselves up and talk about this message that the gospel provides. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe in him would not perish, but would have everlasting life. So, and he says, if they don't receive it, move on. Move on. And so, as you engage with people throughout the course of your day, you don't know who is going to be worthy. You do not know who is going to be open to listening. But our job is to share the gospel with everyone. Everyone we come in contact with. Because guess what? Some will. Some will. Some are going to say, tell me more. Some are going to say, tell me who Jesus is. Tell me how I can have this hope that you have. Okay? And he says here, look, I'm sending you out as sheep among the wolves. True. So be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves. So we have to think that way a little bit. We got to be smart, but we also got to be meek and lowly and kind. And he says, but beware, for you will be handed over to the courts and will be flogged with whips in the synagogues. You will stand trial before governors and kings because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell the rulers and other unbelievers about me. When you are arrested, don't worry about how to respond or what to say. God will give you the right words at the right time. For it is not you who will be speaking. It will be the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Wow. So much there. He says here, you're going to suffer because you follow me. Following him, it has a cost. He says, but don't worry. He says, God will give you the words to say. It's not even you speaking. It's God speaking through the Spirit in you. He says, so understand, he said it's going to give you an opportunity to tell them, these people who persecute you, about I am. Amazing, amazing. Verse 21. Okay, so this is controversial here. Okay, he says a brother will betray his brother to death, a father will betray his own child, and children will rebel against their parents and cause them to be killed. And all nations will hate you because you are my followers. But everyone who endures to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one town, flee to the next. I tell you the truth, the Son of Man will return before you have reached all the towns of Israel. Students are not greater than their teacher, and slaves are not greater than their master. Students are to be like their teacher, and slaves are to be like their master. And since I, the master of the household, have been called the prince of demons, the members of my household will be called by even worse names. He says, you will be called worse than me. He says, because you are my followers. He said, they say that I am being ruled by demons. He said, they're going to call you worse. So we should expect persecution. He says, but don't be afraid of those who threaten you. Verse 26, for the time is coming when everything that is covered will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known to all. What I tell you now in the darkness, shout abroad when daybreak comes. What I whisper in your ear, shout from the housetops for all to hear. We've got to be bold in our faith. We can't be secret agent Christians. worried about what someone else will think. Are they going to look at me different if I talk about Jesus with them? Yeah, maybe. And that's okay because Jesus said that's going to happen. We should not be surprised. He says, don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot touch your soul. Okay? Now, we've never experienced in our, here in America, we've never received that kind of persecution. He says, but know this. He said, they can't touch your soul. Fear only God, who can destroy both soul and body in hell. What is the price of 2 sparrows, 1 copper coin? But not even a single sparrow can fall to the ground without your Father knowing it. Everything you're going through right now, every difficulty that you're enduring, God knows and God cares about you. He said if a bird falls from the sky, he knows it. How much more concerned is he about you, who he gave his life for? He says, and the very hairs on your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You're more valuable to God than the whole flock. Man, that should give you hope today, knowing that's how much you mean to God. That, and I don't have as much hair as I used to, but the fact that He knows how many hairs are on your head, how beautiful a picture is that? He says, now listen to this. This is big, verse 32. Everyone who acknowledges me publicly here on earth, I will also acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But everyone who denies me here on earth, I will also deny before my Father in heaven. We should never fall into that trap where we're afraid and embarrassed and worried about what someone else might think of us. He says, be open. Tell people that you belong to me. Tell people that you are my children. And he says, don't imagine that I came to bring peace to the earth. I came not to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Your enemies will be right in your own household. What's he saying here? That we need to declare war in our families? No, what he's saying is by following him, there will be divisions. There will be cracks formed. There will be, Jesus is divisive. He's very unifying, obviously. There's unity and power in the gospel. But when you confront Christ, when you encounter him, you're forced to confront your sin. And when you and I, as his ambassadors, as his hands and feet, declare him in the public arena, that's going to make people feel uncomfortable, maybe even our own family. He says here, if you love your father or mother more than you love me, you're not worthy of being mine. Or if you love your son or daughter more than me, you're not worthy of being mine. If you refuse, look at this, verse 38. If you refuse to take up your cross and follow me, you're not worthy of being mine. Your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you will find it. Got to take up our cross every day, dying to self, continuing to put to death the sins that continually persist in our lives as people. Becoming more like Jesus a little bit today than we were yesterday, a little bit more. Moving down the road a little bit closer, a little bit farther. And he says here, he says, no person needs to be more important to me, to us than him. I love my wife. I love my daughters. But what Jesus is saying here is, if you love them more than you love me, there's a problem. Okay? So our focus, and honestly, if I love Jesus with everything I have, I'm going to be a better husband, a better father. And he says here, anyone who receives me and anyone who receives you receives me. And anyone who receives me receives the Father who sent me. If you receive a prophet as one who speaks for God, you'll be given the same reward as a prophet. And if you receive righteous people because of their righteousness, you'll be given a reward. Even if you give a cup of cold water to one of the least of my followers, you will surely be rewarded. As we wrap up today, my question to me and to you both is, why do we serve? Do we count the cost? Do we understand that following Jesus will cost us something? Maybe relationships, maybe prestige or ego or status. It's possible. But why do you serve? Do we serve because we want to get the accolades of men and women? We want to get the kudos from people? If that's what motivates us, Jesus is saying here, he says, you're going to get your reward. because I am watching. I am keeping score. Okay? You will be rewarded. Do it in privately. Don't do it like the religious experts do on the corners, praying to God to get attention. Do it in the privacy of your prayer closet. Okay? Why do we do what we do? It's a beautiful thing. I love you all. Tomorrow's chapter 11. So let's have a word of prayer. It's good to see everybody this morning. It's Tuesday, so I hope you have a great day. Let's pray together. We'll be gone. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for your truth in Matthew chapter 10. Lord, walk with us today. Guide us. Help us today, Lord, to meditate on why do we serve. Help us, Lord, to remember why we do that. It is to honor and glorify you. Help us to consider what the cost is and to not be surprised and understand how much you love us. Lord, we love you, and we ask all this in the name of Christ. Amen. All right. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, Matthew chapter 11.